Welcome back, guys, to the CFB Rundown. I'm your host, JT Hill, and today we're going to be breaking down the top 10 best quarterbacks, in my opinion, and just breaking down who I think is going to be the best in 2026. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get started. Number 10, I have Marcel Reed from the Texas A&M Aggies. This guy's a dog, but he has some limitations. He turns the ball over a lot. He had 12 interceptions last year. I'm pretty sure he had a good amount of fumbles, but as a QB, you're really only checking the interceptions. Did throw for 3,170 yards, had 25 touchdowns, so that's not that bad. And he led Texas A&M to a college football playoff appearance and led him to a lot of wins. They only had one regular season loss against Texas at the end of the year, and then they ended up losing to Miami in that first round game. But I have him on this list because he still has shown that he can do crazy things. He uses legs a lot. I think if he can just limit his turnovers, he could be a lot better. But yeah, Marcel Reed starting the list off at number 10. Now, number 9, I got Devon Dampier. Now, a lot of people might be surprised that he's on this list. Only threw for 2,490 yards, 24 touchdowns, but he only threw 5 picks. Now, he does run the ball a lot. And his legs are very, very scary because you can run a lot of different plays with him because you're so worried about stopping his run that he could fake run the ball and just throw it to a tight end running right straight down the middle. So he is a big threat, and I would put him a lot higher on this list, but we just got to see what he can do with his team because Utah lost a lot of players and they lost their head coach. So I'm definitely curious what Utah's going to be this year, but I still got to remember that this is a player and not as a team. I don't think Utah will be as good this season. Still going to be a pretty average to high tier team, but I think they're going to take a little bit of a dip. But Devon Dampier, I really like this dude, and I think that he's a pretty high tier quarterback. Just got to use his arm just a little bit more, and I think that he could honestly be up there for Heisman if he has a good season and he has some good receivers. But number 8, we're going to go Drew Mestamaker. Now, people say this guy's like the next Tom Brady, so we'll see. He's a freshman from North Texas, but he just transferred to Oklahoma State. He threw for 4,379 yards last season. That was first in the entire college football. Threw for 34 touchdowns. That's tied for second. Did throw 9 picks, so yeah, I haven't watched a lot of his film, but people say this guy's like really good, so definitely gonna watch his film soon because I'm really curious how this guy plays. But I'm gonna put him up here because I just really like the hype around Oklahoma State, and I from what I've heard about Drew Mestamaker, he's a very good quarterback, and he's a cool dude, and I just it's definitely, you don't want to go into this blindly, but we're writing this on pencil, not in pen, as Josh Pay likes to say. So this could very well be changed. He could be higher. He could not even be on this list. This is kind of like a little one of those blind rankings. But from what I've heard, I really like this guy, and the stats show it. So gonna watch the film, but I really like this guy. Number 7, we got Julian Sayin. Now, a lot of people would say, JT, he is way too low on this list. But I think he gets carried by his receivers just a little bit. Now, if you're talking about Ohio State as a team and what he can do for them, I think that they could win the national championship. But as a player, I think Julian Sayin Ohio State is literally the wide receiver university of the country. So yes, Ohio State is a great team, but I think Julian Sayin, he was a freshman last season, so I want to give him that. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think he gets a little bit carried by his receivers. He did throw for 3,600 yards. Sorry, I think he's a junior next season. No, sorry, he was a freshman last season. Got that mixed up. So he should be a sophomore this season, if I'm not mistaken. 3,600 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 8 picks. So definitely more on the higher side of interceptions. But at the end of the day, if you can manage. You can manage with 3,600 yards and 32 touchdowns. Now, at the end of the day, I think he gets a little bit carried by his receivers. Jeremiah Smith, I think, carries him the most. But that's why I have him a little bit lower. Number 6, we got Trinidad Chambliss. He is returning for, I think, his sixth season. So, don't even know what to say about that. But he threw for 4,000 yards last season, 22 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. Now, just to remind you, he did not play in the first game. He threw 6 passes. He did not play in the Kentucky game. So he did not play essentially 2 games. So he started the 3rd game of the season, and he did play a bunch of CFP games. But for him to throw 4,000 yards is pretty good. Just average if you're a college football quarterback. No, I'm kidding. But he's an absolute dog, and I really like Trinidad Chambliss. I think returning for his 6th year is a little bit crazy, but whatever. And I don't know. People say his size, he's 6'1", 200 pounds, which I don't know. People say his size is a little bit smaller, but I think he could definitely play in the NFL. I mean, yes, he's definitely an older guy, but at the end of the day, if you throw for 4,000 yards in a college football season, only throw 3 interceptions, I'd say that's pretty good, and you deserve to get a chance at a roster spot. So I think Trinidad Chambliss could definitely play on Sundays, and I'm excited to see what Ole Miss can do this season. It's going to be a little bit different without Lane Kiffin, and we'll see how they do, but we already got the first experience in the college football playoff without Lane Kiffin. So I think that Ole Miss will be able to be pretty good, especially since they got Kewan Lacey back too. So number 5, we got Josh Hoover. He is transferring from TCU to Indiana, going to Curt Cignetti. I'm excited what he can do there, and we've seen what Curt Cignetti can do with just the transfer portal in general. But Josh Hoover is a very good quarterback and threw for 3,400 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. So I watched this guy play against Arizona State, and he throws the ball a lot. You see 50 attempts, 40 attempts, 50 attempts, 33, 39. So he likes to throw the ball a lot, and doesn't carry the ball a ton, but if he needs to, he can use his legs. He's not a big dual threat QB, but if he needs to, he can. And at the end of the day, I think if you're just on if you're on Indiana, you're going to be at a winning culture, and I think that Josh Hoover will really thrive, and they got Nick Marsh from Michigan State, so he will be a great wide receiver addition. So I like Josh Hoover at number 5. Number 4, we got Darian Mensah. He is transferring from Duke to Miami, and I really like this transfer pickup from Miami. And, I mean, you could argue that he could be even higher on this list, but I'm going to wait to see what he does at Miami. I think he could just be, honestly, the next Cam Ward. I really like this QB. He threw for 4,000 passing yards last season, 34 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. So he was second in yards passed. That sounded weird. He was second in passing yards, tied for second in touchdowns, and did not throw a ton of interceptions. So I really like this guy. Played at Duke. Obviously the ACC champions. I think he's a legit guy, and I think he could definitely take himself to the NFL draft and honestly be drafted pretty high if he can have a good season at Miami. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and that's why I have him pretty high on this list. Now, at number 3, we got Sam Leavitt. He is from Arizona State. Now, he was injured. He only played in only 7 games played this season. So he was out for the rest of those 5. And living in Arizona, watching him play, it's definitely sad to see him leave, but I think he's a really good quarterback, and we saw what he did whenever they made it to the college football playoff. Obviously, he wasn't the driving force because Cam Scatterby was, but you could just tell that he was a really, really good quarterback. Only threw for 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So you don't have a ton of stats, but based on what we saw in that season where they went to the college football playoff, I think we have enough to know that he's going to be a very good quarterback and can definitely play on Sundays. So I really like Sam Levitt. Number 2, we got Arch Manning for the Texas Longhorns. Now, after last season, after I was started, I probably wouldn't have this guy here, but as the season progressed, he got a lot better and threw for 3,100 yards, 26 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. Obviously, his mechanics are not the greatest, but I think that he can do a lot of damage with Ryan Wingo. And sorry, just making sure that I remember this right. So yeah, they got 2 running backs, by the way, Hollywood Smothers and Raleek Brown in the transfer portal. And then they obviously got Cam Coleman from Auburn. That was a huge pickup. So he has a lot of offensive weapons that he can use. And Texas defense is always going to be pretty good. So expect Arch Manning to be a Heisman candidate and national champion. I don't know. Definitely SEC champion. I think if Texas does not make it to the SEC championship, or at least top 3 in the SEC, I think that would be a pretty disappointing season. Their roster is just too good. And number 1, we have Dante Moore. Now, a lot of people thought that he should enter the draft. A lot of people thought that he should stay. There's mixed feelings, but I think more people were like, I think he should stay, get another year, and that's what they ended up doing. Now, they did get a transfer quarterback, Dylan Raiola. Oregon did, which is pretty surprising why Dylan Raiola would go there. So, I mean, I guess he's going to try and go for the starting job, but I do have Dante Moore as the number 1 QB in college football, so I don't think he's going to get it. Dante Moore threw for 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. I mean, people were debating whether he should go to the NFL or not, and I think at that point you're like, okay, he's a pretty good QB, and I really like what this guy can do. Obviously, the game against Indiana was not very good, but he's a great QB. He can use his legs if he needs to. I would say he can be a dual threat in some games. One of his games, he had 50 rushing yards, another 53 rushing yards, 35, 46. So he definitely can use his legs. But I'm excited to see what Dante Moore can do for Oregon. And that's my top 10 list of the best QBs. Hopefully y'all like this episode. And let me know what I should do next. Obviously, we don't got a ton of views yet because this podcast is still very, very new. But thanks for listening. It's been JT checking out. See ya.